Hey everyone, welcome to another top 10 list and welcome to my top 10 favourite movies of 1984. 1984 is definitely another one of the best years of cinema in my opinion. It's got a lot of popular and iconic films, so let's just get to it. Here are my top 10 favourite movies of 1984. As always, before your top 10 list, you gotta have your honourable mentions. So my honourable mentions are, I don't have too many, but there's Splash, Conan the Destroyer, and Revenge of the Stone. All great films, just couldn't make the top 10 list, but what did make the top 10 is my number 10, which is Beverly Hills Cop. This action comedy film is definitely one of my favourite Eddie Murphy movies from the 80s. It's got a great story where Eddie Murphy's character, Axel Foley, has a buddy who got murdered and he has to go to Beverly Hills to find out who murdered him, and he has to deal with like drug dealers, artists, and so on. And it's such a funny film as well. I love it. Beverly Hills Cop. Number 9 is The Muppets Take Manhattan. One of my favourite Muppet film movies. My all-time favourites though would definitely have to be the 1979 movie, the 2011 Muppet movie, Muppets Most Wanted, Muppet Christmas Carol, and Muppet Treasure Island. But this is still a fun movie where the Muppets go to Manhattan to put up a show on Broadway. And like with every other Muppet movie, which we've all talked about a lot, it's enjoyable, it's got some catchy songs, and I believe this was the one that also introduced the Muppet Babies, but it was in a fantasy sequence. But still a great movie though. Number 8 is The Never Ending Story. Watched this movie for the first time a few years ago, and I love it. It's got an amazing story about this boy who happens to find a magical book that tells a young warrior who is given the task of stopping for nothing a dark force from engulfing the Wonderland world of Fantasia. I also love the creatures in the movie, such as the Dragon Falcor and the special effects. It's just a remarkable film, The Never Ending Story. Number 7 is one of my favourite horror films, A Nightmare on Elm Street. It's been talked about a lot. It's one of the most iconic horror films ever made, and it's another one of Wes Craven's greatest films. Freddy Krueger's iconic, and that's all I can say that hasn't been said already. Number 6 is I'll Be Back. Terminator. Yeah, The Terminator. Definitely one of my favourite Arnold Schwarzenegger films and one of my favourite James Cameron films. I do think the second film, Judgment Day, is even better and probably a step up from this one. But this first film is still awesome to watch. I love the special effects, the quotes, everything about it is epic. The Terminator. Anyways, number 5 is Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. This is, to me, the most underrated of the Indiana Jones films. I do think Raiders of the Lost Ark and The Last Crusade are my main two favourites, while Kingdom of the Crystal Skull is alright in my opinion. But the Temple of Doom is still pretty good. It may have a few flaws, like the way it portrays Indians and that Willie Scott can act like a brat in the film, but it's still a good action-adventure film, just along with the other ones. Number 4 is Star Trek III The Search for Spock. Another great Star Trek film. Again, The Wrath of Khan is my main favourite of the original films, but I still enjoyed this third entry in the series. Christopher Lloyd is great as the villain Crudge, sorry, I forgot how to pronounce it. Its story and its special effects are still solid. The Search for Spock. Number 3 is The Karate Kid. One of the most popular martial arts movie franchises ever that's still going strong to this day with Cobra Kai, and I love its story about a teenager called Daniel LaRusso who learns the art of karate to defend himself from bullies. Mr. Miyagi is a great mentor, or an amazing mentor to Daniel actually. It's that everyone knows and loves The Karate Kid, and if you haven't seen it, then you should. Anyways, number 2 is Gremlins. When it comes to films that are both Halloween or slash horror and Christmas films, this one is my favourite alongside The Nightmare Before Christmas. Gizmo is a cute little creature. The other gremlins are wicked, and again, I've talked about it before on social media. It's a great film. But number 1, I think you all know what it is. There's something strange in the neighbourhood. Who you gonna call? Ghostbusters! One of the greatest Halloween movies ever. One of the greatest, sort of horror comedies ever. Peter Venkman, Ray Stantz, Egon Spengler, rest in peace Harold Ramis, and Winston Zeddemore are amazing Ghostbusters, and it's got, or just memorable characters I should say. I enjoyed the second one as well, including the latest one, Ghostbusters Afterlife, but the original is still a classic. Again, talked about a lot, so is everyone else. Don't need to say much else since everyone knows and loves it, Ghostbusters. So yeah, those are my top 10 favourite movies of 1984. What are your favourite movies of 1984? Tell me down in the comments, and as always, thank you all for watching and skadoos.